Hello all and welcome to my review of Joseph Nye's The Power is to Lead. Joseph Nye's The Power is to Lead is a widespread look into the nature of leadership in today's world, which is an extensive analysis of both historical figures and theories to convey a hopeful aspiration of what a leader can be. This book has been broken down into 4 key topics. The first topic is the relationship between leadership and power, in particular focusing on the different types of power and how they impact both leaders and followers. I think this is important because as no human is the same, we all have a different view of what leaders should be. This topic helps us understand how different styles of leadership and power can be utilised effectively. The second topic is leadership types and skills and how the different types and skills have evolved over time. This topic is of significance because it helps distinguish the trends in leadership attributes from the constants and therefore hopefully provides a more transparent view of what the future of leadership looks like. The third theory is of contextual intelligence and looking at the importance of being able to read and react to the times and respond accordingly as a leader to achieve desired outcomes. Contextual intelligence is glorified by Nye as perhaps the most necessary leadership trait to achieve success, and therefore its relevance to the entirety of the text cannot be understated. The fourth topic delves into the distinguishing features of good and bad leaders and highlights the nuances between an ethically good leader and an effectively good leader. This topic explains that there are ethically good leaders who aren't effective and there are effective leaders who aren't ethical, and both have their own definition of what good leadership looks like. There were 3 ideas that really stood out to me throughout these topics. The first idea was that those we view as good leaders are often the right person for the right moment. This was an idea I felt was really well explained by Nye. His idea that a leader can sometimes be restricted by the confines of their society. Some leaders are great within a crisis, but within everyday affairs are far from special. Some are great throughout everyday affairs, but crack under the pressure of a crisis. Great leaders are often made by their circumstances above everything else. He uses the story of Winston Churchill, which is particularly notable as he was seen as a weak member of parliament before leaving his post to serve in war and earning the respects of his comrades and nation. Churchill is now revered as one of Britain's greatest ever leaders. Nye argues that without the war, Churchill never goes near the status he reached. I think what this idea did was question how I view some of the leaders I look up to in my own life. The second idea was that leaders with contextual intelligence do more than push for their proposals or their conception of problems. They also lie in wait for a window to open. I think when we think of good leaders, we always think of what they do or are doing, but rarely do we think about what they're not doing and why they're not doing it. And Nye opens this conversation up for us. A standout through this point was the surfer analogy, where Nye says readiness combined with their sense for riding the wave and using the forces beyond their control contributes to success. Sometimes in life, we can be accused of forcing things, and Nye encourages us to wait for our right wave, which I think is quite refreshing. The third key point I found was regarding the need for power being the most effective motivation for leaders when compared to those who are motivated by a need for achievement and a need for affiliation. A key quote from this point was power motivation refers not to dictatorial behaviour but to a desire to have an impact, to be strong and influential. And this stood out to me because I feel like I've seen people be viewed a particular way for being power hungry, and this contradicts that. Nye claims emotional maturity and a following of ethics is what keeps a need for power from merging on the reputation of power hungry. One critique I had of Nye's stance was sometimes good people do bad things. All throughout this section it appears Nye is excusing leaders occasionally making mistakes because power corrupts. I feel this is a dangerous idea to be accepting of and certainly does not fit the mould of the social revolution occurring in the corporate world at this time. I think a correction I would make is that with power comes the opportunity for corruption, and a good leader resists these corruptions. The second correction I would make would be the suggestion that long-term trends in the economy and society, such as globalisation and the information revolution, are increasing the importance of networks. I am personally of the belief that while the nature of networks has changed, I don't believe it is any more important than it ever has been. If you think about it, if anything, it is less important. In times prior to the mobile phone, networks were far smaller, and therefore each part of an individual's network was more vital. Where today, any loss of networks are easy to recover or replace, all with the click of a button. There are 3 really practical pieces of advice that I would like to offer. The first being that leaders help create and achieve goals, and therefore must have both vision and interpersonal skills to succeed. The second being that leaders are shaped by their followers, and therefore a leader must react to the reactions from their followers. The final being there is no one set way to lead, and a mixture of multiple styles is commonly most effective. Okay, thanks for listening, and I hope you enjoyed.